And hello, everyone, and welcome to Ferris State Football and the National Championship Preview Show from McKinney, Texas. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you to talk Bulldog football here for the next hour leading up to Saturday night's National Championship game, a 9:03 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff down here at the McKinney ISD Stadium. Sandy, great trip so far for the Bulldogs who landed here in the Dallas area yesterday, had a great workout this afternoon at McKinney High School, and continue preparations here for the National Championship game.
Yeah, the atmosphere has already been great down here in McKinney, Texas, here in the Dallas area. We had a great send-off to get us out of Big Rapids, to get us to Grand Rapids, and then from Grand Rapids to Love Field here in Dallas. And, you know, you can just feel the excitement building and brewing as we go on through this trip, and we see more and more alums who are coming here to Texas, to the Dallas, Texas area. And then you go on social media, and you see a lot of the former athletes, and they're putting up their throwback pictures in solidarity with this Bulldog football team as they prepare to play for the national championship on Saturday.
We'll have plenty more coming up for you here over the course of the next hour. We'll hear from a couple special guests to talk more about those fan events, the Bulldog experience coming into this national championship game, and obviously preview the matchup coming up on Saturday night, Ferris State and Valdosta State. The 13-0 Bulldogs taking on the 12-1 Valdosta State Blazers in a rematch of the 2018 NCAA Division II National Championship game held right here in McKinney. Our second visit to McKinney, and obviously coming into this second matchup here, the Bulldogs are much more familiar in terms of the logistics, the travel associated with this national championship game.
Yeah, we've got a decent number of Bulldogs student athletes who were a part of that 2018 trip, as well as many on the staff who were, of course, a part of that team in 2018. And so there is a lot of familiarity, of course, with this setting for a number of the members of the team, coaches, support staff, student athletes. But also, this is a veteran team. This is an experienced team with a lot of guys that, even if they were not a part of that 2018 team, they understand the mission of this team, and they understand the focus that we need to have to be successful, or to give ourselves the best chance of being successful in terms of playing for a national championship on Saturday. And so I think that experience, whether it goes back to 2018 or not, and buying into the Bulldog way has really helped us to stay focused here on this trip.
Of course, we're live from the team hotel in the lobby right here at the Marriott in Dallas. Dallas Allen, as we get set for Saturday night's matchup between the Bulldogs and Valdosta State. The Bulldogs traveled yesterday from Grand Rapids, left Ferris State University, a police escort out of town, landed here in the Dallas area, Dallas Love Airfield last night. Early evening hours, had another police escort motorcade all the way here to the team hotel that I know you were part of, Sandy. As I went and rented a vehicle, I missed out on some of that, but obviously great hospitality here already in McKinney, Texas.
Yeah, it was spectacular. It really was like a motorcade, probably not too far off of what a president would get coming to McKinney, Texas. And it really shows that the community of McKinney and the NCAA are really embracing this game, being in this stadium, McKinney ISD Stadium. They really wanted to put on a first-class show, and I think that's what we saw. We saw an outstanding police escort from the airport all the way through here to the hotel, and it's just fantastic. They did a great job, the Dallas Police and you know, the organization behind it. And then we had a great greeting once we arrived here at the hotel, and some of the decorations are still up, and some great artwork from local elementary school kids that really helped to kind of make this our home away from home, if you will.
We'll have plenty more coming up over the course of the next hour. As we mentioned, we'll preview the matchup. We'll talk more about the Bulldog practice today. Had a great workout at McKinney High School. A lot of media coverage on hand. We'll discuss all of that here over the course of the next hour. And, of course, talk with some special guests, starting off with Ferris State University Associate Vice President Jeremy Mishler on hand to talk about the alumni reception coming up on Saturday, and obviously some of the fan events taking place here in McKinney.
Yeah, so many great things, and you know, there's so much preparation that it takes to be able to bring a team, and not only the team but the support staff, and to really get the students, the band, the alumni organized to be able to come here and support the Bulldog football team in their quest for an NCAA Division II national championship. And so there's so many great things that we're going to have an opportunity to touch on here during this hour, and it's going to be really exciting, because I think once people learn more about the fan events that we have and the organization that's gone into those fan events, they're going to see a great atmosphere that we're going to have around this game that I think our Bulldog alumni and fans are going to really be excited about once they make it here to McKinney.
Welcome back, everyone, from McKinney, Texas. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you here on the National Championship Preview Show as we get set for Saturday night's Division II National Championship game, Ferris State and Valdosta State here at the McKinney ISD Stadium. We're joined now by Ferris State University Associate Vice President Jeremy Mishler on hand to talk about some of the fan events. And Jeremy, first of all, I know you had a chance to come down here for the second time on the team plane yesterday. Maybe talk about that experience flying with the Bulldogs.
Well, it's a tremendous experience. I mean, we have such a locked-in, spirited group right now. I mean, they're on a mission. We're excited to support them. You know, you get on the bus, everybody knows what we need to do. You get on the plane, everybody knows what we need to do. And it's a bit of a different experience because it's not like your usual, show up at the airport, park your car, check in your bags with TSA or whatever. No, we pull the buses right onto the runway next to the plane and toss all the bags off, get all the team and everybody through with security. That's a little bit different, but that's a part of what makes that experience special, and it adds to the bonding of taking part in an activity like this and being we're really a part of the support staff for them, right? Making sure that everything's going on and everything around them is the way it needs to be for them to succeed as a team, and for all of our alumni, fans, students, everybody coming out to support them to make it really the lifetime experience it should be.
Obviously, kind of pointing toward that, we had an issue like that at practice today. One of the Bulldog football players, we won't name him by name, but left his cleats back in Big Rapids and trying to take care of those little details to get those shoes here for Saturday night so the coaches don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, a lot of fun in moments like that, right? You call those a little bit of a hashtag team mom problems, but we were able to call back. We've got staff who are riding down on the fan buses. I mean, we've got Bulldogs descending on Texas from all over, and as a part of that, we've got 4 fan buses coming down. That includes a number of our students, local fans, heck, Brutus the Bulldog himself, the cheer team, the dance team, the pep band, and so we were able to contact some of our staff who are helping to lead those buses down here and just say, hey, we got a star player that needs those special cleats. Leave no stone unturned in the search for victory here in McKinney, and able to get those on the bus so they can join them in time for the player to wear them in the game.
Before I let Sandy ask a couple questions here, what does it mean from the university perspective to have this team playing for a national championship?
Rob, it's such an exciting, prideful, historic moment, really, when you look at it. And now coming back for a second time with really the next opportunity to take the step to establish ourselves as the elite D2 football program in the country. It means so much to so many. But really, I think coming off the type of difficult last nearly 2 years that many folks have persevered through, challenged through, and in some cases even lost someone close to them through, a moment like this, it's uplifting for all of us. But it really speaks to an institution where a community as tight as Ferris State is, and the Big Rapids community that surrounds it, and the community of alumni and the greater country internationally that support them. It means a great deal. It couldn't mean more, and it couldn't be coming at a better time for the institution.
And Jeremy, talk about it. Before we get into some of the specifics of the events that are going to be taking place here in McKinney, Texas, and you and I have been around for a long time, and we're proud undergraduates of Ferris. And before we get into the specifics of those events, talk about the energy and the enthusiasm we've seen from the alumni, because it's been an outpouring and an enthusiasm that we've seen from our alumni that is just almost like nothing we've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's coming in waves from every possible direction, and you get excited because you talk about, man, if we could ever get to that point, right? Imagine the turnout we would get, because we know pride has never been our problem at Ferris State, right? For those who have gone to school at Ferris State, those who have worked at Ferris State, right, there is something special about it that we all carry with us, and we carry it out into the world wherever we go. And to have a moment like this where everybody can rally, and in such a big way, with a sport that a lot of people identify with, our fans with that really has so many student athletes. I mean, football is a big team. And so we have so many student athletes that are coming from throughout Michigan, from a number of different states, to be a part of a program that could establish itself as the best. It's really a unique moment for the institution, and it'll be one that it'll expand our brand, certainly. It'll continue to build a greater awareness of Ferris State University and the opportunities that are there for students, and the opportunities to be a part of a great community. But it will also, I think, kind of carry us through to where we need to go next as an institution and take us to the next level.
And we'll take ourselves a little bit back to campus a little bit. And two-part question. how do you see the way that this has been received by our campus proper, so our students, our faculty and staff, and then you being a school board member in Big Rapids and being very involved in the community, about the greater community? There's so many people that are talking about it that aren't directly affiliated with Ferris in the community, but they are really rallying around this team, in addition to the students, faculty, and staff on campus.
I mean, a number of huge evidence points you can point out. We have fan buses that filled up in, I think, less than 48 hours. So the anticipation for the Bulldogs reaching this milestone and having the opportunity to go next, great. Our community, we know that there's a caravan coming down from Big Rapids, and we know that it's not just alumni. It's people in our community who, through their business or through other affiliations, support our student athletes, both on the football team and throughout our other 16 other varsity sports. And so there's a huge amount of pride and a huge amount of wanting to get here to make sure that our team knows that this is a community that will turn out, even if it has to travel thousands of miles to do so. I've got a couple of high school students and a middle school student who are on a plane on their way down right now. They wouldn't miss it for the world. This is a part of their Christmas present. But they've got many, many friends who are on the way, if they're not here already, that will be there. So it's now a generational pride point, right? We've got alumni who have come back that were a part of Ferris Institute, Ferris State College, Ferris State University is today, and the next level of Bulldogs, the next generation of Bulldogs. This is their team, and they have a lot to be proud of. They're on the national stage. This is the first big bowl game for a Michigan team as far as we're concerned. And, I think our kids know that and want to be a part of it too.
Yeah. And one more question before I turn it back over to Rob. Rob and I both work in social media, and social media has just been on fire with this football team. And talk a little bit about athletics as a front porch to really introduce people to the university and bring people into the university to see what we have to offer that maybe might not otherwise discover Ferris.
Yeah, it's especially at times like this, it is the front porch, because so many people identify with a team, identify that as a pride point. We may not always be in the news as much as we should be, but we're working hard for that, Sandy. I know we are. But people do follow our teams. They follow the scores. They know that we have built a tradition of success around football. Heck, we just got done with volleyball, coming through and nearly winning their region. Soccer going to the playoffs, once again and coming through big in our league. So it's been a tremendous fall for the Bulldogs, and I think social media is a way people can engage with that winning tradition as it's happening in real time and offer their comments and their well wishes or man, I saw that big play, did you? And they're sharing the video clips that you guys are so dutifully putting out there and the updates and the previews and what have you. It is a way, if they can't be there in person, it is a way for them to be there in spirit and be engaged in what's happening. And athletics gives you that high energy, high anticipation, mostly great outcomes for us that people just really can make a part of their everyday wherever they are as it pertains to Ferris State.
Jeremy, obviously some key fan events coming up here over the course of the weekend for those fans still coming down here to McKinney, Texas. The Division II Fan Fest tomorrow night, which was an event we had back in 2018 where a lot of the Bulldog football alumni and other supporters really invaded Tupp's Brewery here in McKinney. And then obviously a key event here for the university on Saturday afternoon, the alumni and fan reception here at the Courtyard by Marriott.
Yep, so we'll be at Tupp's Brewery tomorrow night in McKinney from 6 to 8 p.m. for the Fan Fest. And I want to promise, if she's listening or paying attention, Cy Barnett's mom, who reached out to me personally, we will have plenty of Ferris State swag on hand to make sure that we're able to set our mark there at Tupp's Brewery with our friends from Valdosta, who may also be enjoying themselves that evening, as it's for both schools. And then as we look ahead, we've established a tradition when our teams have been able to make it this far in partnership with our Alumni Association, the Athletics Department, our President's Office, to be able to make sure that we come into the game with a great deal of spirit ready to go. And so we will have our pregame reception. It's going to be at the Courtyard by Marriott in Allen, which is just next door. It's right close to where we are. And that's going to go from 4 to 6:30. Rob, we had to cap pre-registration at 5:50, but I'm pretty sure, based on everybody who's letting us know they're coming anyways, that we're looking at 700-800-ish. It's going to be the place to be pregame. And then we know our friends with McKinney ISD who are hosting us at their fabulous stadium. They're going to have tailgating open for our fans starting as early, I believe, as 5 o'clock, right? And our Lone Star Bulldogs, which is kind of our chapter that's down here, our Bulldog ambassadors that keep the Ferris flag flying in Texas for us, have a special barbecue tailgate going on with a number of alums who have businesses that are in the catering and beverage industry that are going to be offering some great samples and special fun. So, I mean, we're going to be giving away rally towels and beads and posters and everything we can to make sure that when our fans go into that stadium ready to cheer on our guys, we're going to be able to put on a show behind theirs.
I know, obviously, the weather conditions back in Michigan have been a little cold here during this playoff run. Maybe a little bit warmer this week, but maybe talk about the weather here today in Texas and what fans can expect down here in the state of Texas.
Well, you and I are wearing shorts. Sandy still sported pants, so I guess he gets the professional gold star of the day. But, you know, it's nice to be able to put on a polo shirt for a little bit of time and soak in some warmth. It was fun to see our players enjoy it as well. But, you know, it's going to be a little bit chilly by the time we kick off. It's supposed to drop, from the 50s probably down into the 40s. And we're ready for that. That's advantage Ferris State as far as I'm concerned, because we've been persevering through some colder weather and a little bit of colder type precipitation now for the last 3 weeks. But I don't really think it would matter what the weather is. I know our fans would turn out, and I know our team is going to show up. And so I'm thinking it's going to be a great night for us no matter what.
Finally here, last question here. Speaking of the team and showing up, and obviously Sandy and I do a lot of traveling with teams, probably take it for granted a little bit. What's it like being on the road here with these student athletes and the way that you're able to interact with them?
Well, it's truly special, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. I don't get to travel as often as you guys, and certainly not with the team, but I know so many of them. As you guys know, I teach a class or two, and one of my students here is on the training staff, a freshman. He's so excited. A number of the guys who've been in my FSUS class before, they're excited to see me here and doing what I can to help you guys continue to show out for our team. And certainly something you can't take for granted, but I think the reason that I look forward to it is because I'm used to supporting them on one day, and now I get to support them for multiple days in a row, and just be there so that they know that all the way to the leadership of the university, everybody is behind them, and know what this challenge is, know what the opportunity that lies ahead, and we've got their back, and I just consider it to be a truly wonderful opportunity. I'm glad to be here. One more thing, Rob, before I go, I want to make sure that I give a shout out. The Carmody brothers and their family, Buffalo Wild Wings, they're sponsoring watch parties all throughout our state at all their restaurants. We know we've got businesses in Big Rapids like Crankers and the Sawmill, who have also been staunch supporters of our athletic programs through the years, sponsoring watch parties. And we got alumni doing it in their homes and everywhere else. So to everybody out there, we're off to a great start here, and we think you're going to have a great time cheering on our team come Saturday. Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, thanks to Jeremy Mishler, Associate Vice President, here on this National Championship Preview Show. Live from McKinney, Texas. We'll take a 2-minute break. Back with more coverage after this on Sunny 97.3. Welcome back, everyone, to this National Championship Preview Show. Live from McKinney, Texas. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you as we talk about the Bulldogs coming up on Saturday night in the Division II National Championship game against the Valdosta State Blazers. But first, our second guest here this evening, live from the Team Hotel here in McKinney, Texas. Athletic Director Steve Brocklebank. And Steve, first of all, welcome. And I know great weather already as we talked with Jeremy Mishler here in the state of Texas.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. Good to see both of you. Good to be here. Excited to be here. And the weather was nice today. It's a little different than when we left Big Rapids, and so I'll take it.
Obviously, last time we talked to you on the radio broadcast, I think a week or so into your tenure when the Bulldogs were down at Grand Valley State, just talk about what the last couple months have been like here leading Bulldog athletics.
Oh, it's been a ton of fun. We've had tremendous success in a lot of areas. I look back at, I think about volleyball and the success they had and playing an NCAA regional championship game and going down to soccer and watching them beat Grand Valley at Grand Valley for the GLIAC tournament championship. And then, of course, seeing football go on the run that they've been on. And they're playing fantastic. I mean, they're playing at a really high level. All cylinders are going. And, you think about how we've played over these last 3 playoff games and to play at the level we're playing at. Pretty special.
Obviously, I know you had a chance to coach in some national championship games when you were at Grand Valley State. Maybe talk about what this experience is like for the student athletes and what this means to reach really this pinnacle of Division II football.
Yeah, it means a ton to the student athletes. I was talking to somebody earlier when we were at practice, and I said that, you're creating memories that will last a lifetime for these guys. I mean, this is something that they'll be coming back to campus 20, 30, 40 years from now, and they'll have a special bond and brotherhood because of this particular event. Something that they'll have in common for years to come. So it's just so impactful to them. It's impactful to the families. It's really special to them. I mean, they supported these young people for all these years, and now to see them have an opportunity to compete for the pinnacle event in their sport at their level really means something. And I thought about it as a coach too. I think back. I have 3 daughters, and my 2 older ones still talk about being at the national championship game and looking back at the pictures of them down there with the offensive linemen. I coached the O-line and spending time with those guys and being in the hotel with them and being on the field after the victory. And so it builds memories of a lifetime for players and coaches and families of players and coaches. And obviously, I think to the institution, it means a ton. I mean, you think about the amount of attention and focus that's being put on Ferris State here over these last few weeks, and particularly this week. I mean, that's marketing that you can't pay for. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. So it's good for everybody involved.
What's the outpouring of support been like from the Bulldog fans and the Bulldog Nation?
It's been great. I mean, I noticed that even that night when you interviewed me at Grand Valley, that was 5 days into my tenure, and I remember going to Grand Valley, and man, we had quite a contingent of people, and I was very impressed then, and I've gotten to know more folks since that time, and the support has been awesome. And, I've talked to a couple people down here, and I think as far as ticket sales and support that we were tracking significantly ahead of Valdosta, so that's exciting. And so I think, there's a ton of support for Bulldog Athletics and for Ferris State University. And events like this is where it really magnifies that support.
And, Steve, getting settled in as AD, and you mentioned you come right in, you jump right into our big rivalry game with Grand Valley down there in familiar territory that you know so well. What have you learned versus your perception of Ferris before you got here, and what have you learned since that just like, wow?
Well, this place is awesome. The people are awesome. I knew there was something special about Ferris, which is why, there's a reason why I applied for and worked really hard to have an opportunity to have this position. I knew there was something special about Ferris. After having been here for 2.5 months, it's evident there's a lot of things that are special about Ferris. But I would certainly say the people, everybody's crazy friendly around campus, very supportive. And we have a culture of winning and winning championships, and that's hard to build. Every athletic department has deficiencies and things they need to work on, but when culture is one of your deficiencies, that's a tough one. We don't have that. We have other things that we need to try to get better in, other areas we need to try to improve, but culture is not one of them. And having fantastic people on this campus, interacting with our student athletes, interacting with us as fellow staff members and employees, we don't have that. So I think it's a pretty special place, not only for our student athletes and not only for me as an athletic director. I think it's a pretty special place if you're a student and you're interested and you're trying to find a home and I want to go to a 4-year university. Where will I have an awesome experience, whether I'm a student athlete or a student? Where will I be treated really well? Where is there a fantastic culture? It's in Big Rapids, Michigan at Ferris State University.
And, you coming in and getting going, and you just mentioned a little bit ago the great success we've had this fall in so many different sports. And one of the things, and I'd be curious to get your thought about this because your perception having been at other universities, the athletes and the coaches could really get tunnel vision and focus strictly on their team. But it seems like in the Ferris Athletics Department, everybody is really rooting for each other's success. Everybody wants to see each other be successful.
That is so true. There is a great camaraderie amongst our coaches and amongst our student athletes, which I think is awesome. And there's a lot of examples of that. I think back to, has it been 2 weeks now, Rob, since we were at Sandy Volleyball, right? So we had that weekend when we had all those events. and football playoff game and volleyball NCAA tournament. And we had to move our basketball programs, who are having a fantastic season. We had to move our basketball programs out of their home gym and put them in. Now, Big Rapids is awesome. Big Rapids High School is a great place to play, and they have really nice facilities. And Dawn and all those people at Big Rapids High School are fantastic people to work with. So it's a blessing that we have them in Big Rapids and we have a relationship we do with them. But we asked our basketball team, still a tough ask, to leave their facility that they practice in as they prepare to start the conference schedule, and move to another gym. And there was no complaints. It was, hey, we got to do what we have to do to try to help our volleyball team advance in the NCAA tournament. So that to me spoke volumes right there, to have coaches say, hey, we get it and we're going to do it and we'll do whatever we need to do to help them keep advancing. So that's just one example. So when you talk about the camaraderie amongst coaches and amongst student athletes, you can talk about it, but at some point you got to see there's some action behind those words. And that's just one small example. And there's numerous ones like that, but that one to me really spoke volumes about the mutual respect and admiration that coaches and our student athletes in our programs have for each other.
And then a little more personally, before I turn it back over to Rob, had a chance to meet your wife today for the first time, and had a chance to meet one of your daughters. And what's it been like for them? You know, because when you take a job, it impacts so many different people, and it's a huge decision. Just talk a little bit about how your family has been impacted, because they seem really excited about this as well.
My wife might be more excited about this job than I am, and I'm really excited. And you know, she's a Bulldog, so she graduated from Ferris State. So that was really easy. I mean, I remember when I first met her, she would do this bark every once in a while. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, but it was her Bulldog bark. So she was actually an RA on campus and lived on campus. And so, you know, that was obviously to come back to her alma mater and come back to Ferris was easy. My youngest daughter, who you met today, she'll be transferring to Ferris and she'll start classes here in January. So she's very excited. She's already been, you know, involved with students on campus and doing things, and hopefully everything she should be doing. But she's getting immersed into Big Rapids and to Ferris, and she's very excited. So I think it's been a very smooth transition. We just moved into a home in Big Rapids last week. We thought we'd throw a move into all this too, you know. So you know, why not? We have nothing going on. No, I think personally, it's been professionally. I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful to be here. But I think for my family, they feel very grateful too to be here, and they're very excited to be here. So,
Steve, before we let you go here, I'm going to put your coaching hat back on here. What'll be some keys here for the Bulldogs to come out and get a win on Saturday night?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm not intimately involved with the game plan, but I do know this: when you play in a national championship game, having done a couple of them. Both teams are going to be, in terms of talent, you're going to face another really good football program. You know that. And there's a reason why they're here. And so it really comes down to, I think it's the very basic things that everybody talks about and probably every coach talks about. But ball security will be huge, obviously, in a game like this, because both teams have the capability to take advantage of turnover and put points on the board. So that'll be big. You know, penalties will be another one. Play a clean game, ball security. And then, you know, you have to do all the fundamentals. You have to do them right. You know, both teams will have plenty of schemes to beat the other team, and they're both skilled enough to beat the other team. So, you know, it's who's going to block, who's going to tackle, who's going to hang on the ball, and then who's going to, you know, not take unnecessary penalties in inopportune times. And that's going to be a lot of it. And who's going to be able to maintain their poise on a little larger stage than what they've been playing in, you know, because those kids walk out there, and even the coaches, I know I was a little more nervous in the national championship game than I was maybe in even the semifinals or the quarterfinals, and because, you know, this is it. This is what we've worked so hard to get to. So not allowing that nervousness, that anxiety to get in the way of you thinking clearly, executing as a player, or in the case of a coach, making sure that you're seeing things clearly, you're communicating clearly, you're not letting that nervousness or that anxiety cloud anything that you're doing. I think that's a challenge.
Obviously, I know a lot of logistics go into a trip like this, and now maybe to the point where those logistics are kind of completed and time to settle in and really focus in on the football game on Saturday.
Well, I got to thank all you guys for this, Rob. I really do. I mean, we have a great staff, and you know that you've worked hard on this. Sarah Higley, our senior associate AD, has worked hard on this. Jake Daughtry has worked hard on it. Tim Blashill, Wes Brennan. I mean, I could go on and on with all the staff members that have worked really hard. I know Sarah has really stepped in, and we don't necessarily have a game or a football operations person, so to speak, on staff. I know Jimmy kind of holds that role to a degree, but he's also coaching and involved in wearing a bunch of hats like we all do. But I know Sarah has really picked up and taken care of a lot of the logistics. So tip my hat to all those folks that have made it happen.
Well, Steve, thanks for your time and thanks for your leadership, and looking forward to what should be a great game on Saturday night.
Should be fun. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
We'll be back with more coverage in 2 minutes right here on Sunny 97.3. Welcome back, everyone, to McKinney, Texas. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you here on this National Championship preview show. We've heard from the Associate Vice President of Ferris State University, Jeremy Mishler, Athletic Director Steve Brocklebank, as we get set for Saturday night's matchup, the D2 title game between Ferris State and Valdosta State. Back to me and Sandy now as we have a chance to kind of discuss the game. Of course, we'll have an extended pregame show on Saturday night starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time, live from the McKinney ISD Stadium, but should be a great matchup between the Bulldogs and the Blazers.
Yeah, when you look at coming into this season and you started to look at the super regions, and you started looking Super Region 2 and Super Region 3, and you kind of had a feeling that it was going to come down to whoever would emerge from these two super regions. And so as we started to see the Bulldogs emerge from Super Region 3, and you started to keep an eye on Super Region 2, and you knew you had University of West Florida, which was the defending national champions, and then you had Valdosta State University, a team that's also been a national champion. So you kind of knew that could come down to maybe a combination of those three teams. And yeah, here we are. So probably two teams for most of the season that people thought were at least, if not the two best teams, two of the three best teams.
Obviously, you talk about Super Region 3. The Bulldogs really kind of went through the gauntlet, had Grand Valley State. Obviously, a big win against an arch rival, then a huge win over Northwest Missouri State, which has been one of the powers, if not the power in Division II football over the last decade. And then obviously a big win over a Shepherd team that came in to the national semifinals and was playing as well as anyone in terms of their offensive approach here in the country.
Top five teams. You think about that, the gauntlet, as you called it, and correctly so. That's what the Bulldogs had to go through, and you knew coming into the playoffs, Bulldogs had a bye, which probably benefited us in a lot of ways to have us get an opportunity to get some guys some rest and to heal up a little bit. And then the Bulldogs, and then what happens? You come up with Grand Valley. You draw Grand Valley in the first round, and then not only do you draw Grand Valley in the first round, you get a snowstorm. And the snowstorm is so consistent that it's like you couldn't even see the numbers. And shout out to the physical plant and grounds crew. They were able to clear things out to make the field playable. But it was just an incredible atmosphere, and Bulldogs got off to a great start, Rob, dominating victory over a rival and a very good football program. And then you come back, you get another one. It doesn't get any easier. You get Northwest Missouri State. Bulldogs, again, very dominant on all three phases of the game. And then Bulldogs were just lights out good against Shepherd in the national semifinals to earn their trip to McKinney.
I know, obviously, I've had a chance here to work with you for so many years. I've had a couple messages from other SIDs, broadcasters, saying good luck in the national championship game. I'd love to call one. Obviously, for us, this will be our third, which is kind of hard to believe. Third in 3 years in terms of basketball, and now the second one here in McKinney, Texas for football.
Yeah, I mean, unless you go to a dominant perennial power program, I think you and I both, you just never think that you're going to get a chance to call one. And then we got a chance to not only call, it's not only going to be our third, but we had a chance to call two in 1 year. I mean, how many people get to do that, 2 in 1 year? And so, we've been very fortunate to have those opportunities, and I'm grateful, and I never will take it for granted. It's a great privilege, it's a great honor, and I mean, there are a lot of people that would love to trade spots with us and have an opportunity to call a national championship game.
We'd like to congratulate Coach Tony Anise recording his 100th win at
Yes.
Ferris State last Saturday, and obviously 100 wins. I think we've been around for probably 99 of them. We missed the one when we were at Duke University when the Bulldog men's basketball team, after winning the national championship, had a chance to play the Blue Devils, but been around for 99 of them. Ironically, and this is the information you learn when you're on the road with the team, the Bulldogs have at least 2 seniors that have been around for 74 of those 100 wins. 7th-year guys, Marvin Campbell, who obviously, unfortunately, is hurt this season, and then John Higgins, who starts at linebacker for the Bulldogs. Those guys have been around for a long time.
Yeah, and not only have they been around for a long time, Rob, they've been good. When for their careers, and it's obviously very unfortunate that Marvin got an injury and is not going to be able to play in this game. But he and then John Higgins, they've been a huge part of the culture building in this program, because they've been a part of literally 3/4 of Coach Anise's wins. And so they were here, kind of coming in here on a little bit on the ground level, but they're part of that huge culture change I think that we saw in the program going back to 2012, and they can look at it and say, we were some of that foundation that really put us on this path toward having an opportunity to play in a second national championship game.
One of the things that goes along with playing in a national championship game, we've kind of touched on it, is the media coverage. And obviously some great media coverage at practice today. The NCAA opened up practices to the media, not only locally, but also the West Michigan media. And Ferris State, fortunate to have some media members from 9 and 10 News making the trip down here to McKinney, Texas. Had some other stations out of Grand Rapids that have hired some freelance people to cover the Bulldogs down here in Texas. Jared Bernhardt has done so many interviews this week, I think, all over the country. You start with lacrosse magazines. Obviously, was a great lacrosse player and playing in his second national championship game here over the course of the past year.
Yeah, and obviously he continues to get a lot of attention, and rightfully so in a lot of ways. When you think of the premier lacrosse Division I player in the nation coming to play Division II, and it's obviously a very intriguing story that keeps the media interested, has had them interested probably since that first spectacular run against the University of Findlay in that Thursday night season opener, and ever since then, I guess the legend, if you will, was born, and he's been able to continue to play at a high level. But he shared the spotlight today, Rob. I mean, there were a lot of guys, and they kept you busy organizing a lot of interviews. We had some media that were doing some hometown interviews, and it was really great to see. And so it's just really been a very exciting thing, and it was great to see so many guys get a little piece of that spotlight here today from the media.
One of those guys that got a piece of that spotlight, and a great story, Travis Russell, who, of course, was a quarterback for the Bulldogs, now on the coaching staff, and he's been around for a number of those wins for Coach Anise. He actually drove Coach Anise's car all the way down here to Texas by himself. Coach Anise going to head out from Texas to go a little recruiting and then a family vacation once this season's all said and done. But Travis getting some media coverage here over the course of the day. Long trip, but well worth it, I know, for him back in the national championship game again.
Yeah, T. Russell's a great guy. We were chatting with him a little bit, and he made that long trip. I think he said 3 stops maybe, and then he made that long trip from Michigan all the way down here to Dallas, Texas. And T. Russ is he's a team guy. He was as a player. And he did a great job during his playing career, Rob, stepping in to some difficult situations and performing well, leading us to some big wins during his career. And he has really come into that coaching staff and his knowledge of the game, his mastery of the game intellectually, and proven himself on the field as a player and now as a coach. And he seems to have a bright future as a coach.
Of course, you mentioned being a team player, and obviously that kind of carried over this year in terms of the quarterback position. The Bulldogs have had some guys ready to play when called upon. Malik Mitchell obviously stepped in a couple weeks ago, got a huge win for the Bulldogs here in the Division II playoffs. We saw Evan Cummins run for a touchdown last week, and he's been a key part of this program for so long as well. So really a great quarterback room with those three really being each other's biggest fans and cheerleaders.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the quarterback position, and obviously – you look at Jared Bernhardt, and everybody's going to look at him, but he is not a selfish guy. Jared is a guy that he wants to see his teammates be successful. He wants to see his teammates get all these opportunities. And Coach Anise pointed it out after one of the playoff wins that, one of the first texts he got was from Jared Bernhardt, and he was saying, I told you Malik Mitchell was going to get it done, and Malik has got it. The Northwood game. I mean, he was unbelievable in the Northwood game. So, and then you look at Evan Cummins. He has a proven track record. He is obviously a very powerful, talented runner, but he can also throw the football as well. And so they really feel like they have three quarterbacks that they can go to, and really a fourth quarterback, really, that could have a bright future as well.
Obviously, Coach Anist did a number of interviews here over the course of the past few days. Had a conference call this morning with ESPN. ESPNU will be televising the game on Saturday night, and really talked about kind of the finality of it here this weekend. The Bulldogs have extended their season as far as they possibly can here in Division II, and certainly still another week together here down in McKinney, Texas.
Yeah, we talked about it in 2018. We talked about 16 straight weeks. And you work to get to this point to play for a national championship, and you get right here on this big stage, and you want to put everything, the kitchen sink, all of it right there, and to not leave anything behind. You want to go into this game and leave out of this game with no regrets about what you could have or should have done. You want to make sure you get it done here. And so there is a finality to it, and this is what they're playing for, and they don't want to come up short at this point.
Welcome back, everyone, to McKinney, Texas. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you on this National Championship preview show as we get set for the National Championship game a little more than 48 hours away here at the McKinney ISD Stadium, located nearby. We're right in the McKinney-Allen area here just north of Dallas. And the Bulldogs tomorrow will have a walkthrough here at the McKinney ISD Stadium, kind of the final run-through, final practice of the year for the Bulldogs before that title game on Saturday night.
Yeah, I remember the walkthrough in 2018, and coming into that stadium for the first time, that spectacular stadium. You come in and you're just like in awe of how impressive that stadium is, and yet you know that you got to get focused and really keep your eyes on the prize, and that's being able to do everything that it takes to be as prepared as possible as you come in to play for a national championship. So it's going to be a great opportunity to get on that field and experience it and just kind of get a walkthrough in to get comfortable with the situation, and then that next step before you get ready to take the field on Saturday night when it's really for real.
Of course, I had a chance to run down the rosters, compare the two rosters. I believe there's 38 guys that were on the 2018 team that are still here in a Bulldog uniform. Not all of those guys, of course, played back in 2018, but still enough veteran experience from that 2018 team that finished as the national runner-up that they'll play here on Saturday night.
Yeah, and there's certainly, you mentioned a lot of guys that did not necessarily play but were on the roster. But at the same time, there were also some key players that really played and that were a significant part of that game. That year was the emergence of Cy Barnett. He had a big touchdown grab late in that game that almost altered history. So there's some definite experience with those guys that were a part of that team, and they know what it was like to go through 16 weeks to get to get to where they were able to get, and what they want to do now is they want to change history this year, and they want to shape history this year by finishing what they started.
Obviously, Valdosta State comes in at 12-1, the lone blemish coming to West Florida in the final game of the regular season. That was a 49-47 win over Ferris State back in 2018. A game that's probably in the minds of both teams. A lot of players from both squads that probably played in that game. One of them, Ivory Durham, a key player here to watch on Saturday night for Valdosta State, their quarterback that saw some action in that contest a couple years ago.
Yeah, in a different role. So it was, actually, in a way, he made at least one play that was kind of in a role that he's in right now. He's a dynamic player and, tremendous athlete, and he's really done a good job of being the engine for that team and to really get them going. And so the Bulldogs certainly going to have to game plan for him. But they're balanced. They've got a running back, that's got a lot of experience and has played at a high level. Their line is pretty solid offensively, and they've got good receivers. And so they're a lot like us. And as Steve Brocklebank said, when you get to this level, you're going to be playing a good team. So and again, we talked about probably the three teams that were the favorites. Two of the three that were going to be favorites to get here, and two of those teams are here, and that's Ferris State and that's Valdosta, the number 1 and number 2 teams in the nation.
Of course, one of the guys that'll have to really game plan for him, the guy that's maybe the key guy in terms of the game plan against the Valdosta State offense, Ryan Hodges, defensive coordinator, who just walked by. We've had guys walking up and down the hallway here. Of course, the meeting rooms, the training room, actually a makeshift training room here in the team hotel. Great job by Brett Knight, his entire medical staff, is they're doing everything they can to get these guys prepared and ready to play on Saturday night.
And I know fans will be able to see this when they see the replay on video, but we're kind of in the main thoroughfare here where people are kind of coming through back and forth, and so we've seen probably half the team come through here and checking out what we're doing while also taking care of business. You mentioned the training table, you mentioned the team meeting rooms, offensive, defensive, special teams. It's hard to explain unless you're really up close how much goes into bringing a team to play for a national championship. And there's just so many support staff. We've had a chance to talk to and about some of those people that have really supported this effort. But it's just a great atmosphere. It's great to see some of these guys walking back and forth, and they're locked in and they look ready.
I know Coach Anise mentioned earlier in the week that last week when they knew they were playing Shepherd in the semifinals, wasn't that they were looking ahead, but he had talked about you have to start preparations now for the trip should you win, because so much goes into it, and obviously the Bulldogs much better prepared, I think, this time around coming into this second national championship game.
Yeah, preparation is the key, and you have to, you want to stay focused on the team that's right in front of you. But things move so quick, right after that Shepherd game. I mean, everybody was just hitting the ground running with just so many things that we had to do, and that's on a Saturday night. And so then you come into Sunday and you got to continue the preparation, and then you come into Monday, 8 to 5 when everybody's back at work, and then you really got to get going. So there's so much preparation that takes place, and then all of a sudden you're flying out on Wednesday. So it's a quick turnaround and a lot of preparation, somewhat before while staying focused on the game, and then of course amped up to multiple times after the game and into the early part of the week.
It'll certainly be amped up here as more and more Bulldog fans arrive here in McKinney, Texas. We've seen a number of family members and fans already on hand. Had a couple of alums at practice today, and I know a lot more coming here to support the Bulldogs on Saturday.
Oh, you can see just in 24 hours. You can already see just a little bit of swelling of even more fans who have made their way here into this hotel, never mind the other hotels. And we know the fan buses are departing, maybe like right now. So, I mean, it's 4 fan buses on their way. I mean, it just really shows Bulldog Nation. And that doesn't even include, Rob, and we haven't talked about this as much, that doesn't even include the people who aren't coming but are going to be having watch parties at home. They're going to be going to a Buffalo Wild Wings or other places in town locally, or just in their living room, supporting the Bulldogs. So Bulldog Nation definitely behind the Bulldogs.
We certainly encourage fans to visit ferrisstatebulldogs.com/Texas. Complete information on the trip. Of course, the fan bus is sold out. You can find locations for the watch parties, not only in Big Rapids, the Sawmill Saloon, along with Cranker's Restaurant and Brewery and Buffalo Wild Wings, all great sponsors of Ferris State Athletics, but also Buffalo Wild Wings across the state. Great work, as Jeremy Mishler mentioned earlier in the show, by Jeff Carmody, Brian Carmody, of really making Ferris State the source of pride in those Buffalo Wild Wings franchises across the state.
Yeah, they were Bulldogs and are Bulldogs and will continue to be Bulldogs, and it's really great to have their support, as well as so many of the local establishments as well, that really, they're behind this, and we talked to Jeremy earlier about the local community, and many of them are really just incredibly supportive and behind this team, and those who can make it here, we're certainly happy to have them, but we're also happy for the people who are going to be watching back home, and they're going to put on their Bulldog apparel, and they're going to be cheering just as loud as if they were in McKinney ISD Stadium.
Of course, we'll have complete coverage for you over the next few days, and hopefully well into next week after hopefully the Bulldogs get a victory on Saturday night. Live online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com, on social media, at Ferris Football, on Twitter and on Facebook. Great work by Barrett Jones, our videographer, over the course of the season. The talented Scott Vandersloot, we have him back here as a Bulldog for another weekend, making his third trip to the national championship game.
Hey, you had the players were coming through here, and they were shouting out Scott Vandersloot for coming back here, and so he has definitely got celebrity vibes, and when Barrett comes back, he's going to have those celebrity vibes as well. So, we're just great to have a great team of people who are really supportive. Scott's kept the the Bulldog apparel right there front and center. So we know he's behind us, and it's just going to be great. Now we can't wait, obviously, for the game.
Of course, a great team of photographers as well. Kevin McDermott, Angela McCain. The list goes on and on of people that have kind of covered the Bulldogs all season long that are going to be here shooting photos. We'll have photos, video, and more, and plenty of content and information here over the next few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to be, fans, get on your social media and keep checking that. We already know you are because, athletic social media, our social media for the university overall has really just been blowing up. It's been huge, and a lot of it's because people are engaged, and social media is one of the easiest, quickest ways for people to get engaged. And so be on the lookout for all the photography and people reaction from the fan bus inside the stadium. It's just going to be electric.
Of course, live coverage on Saturday night on ESPNU across the country. The Watch ESPN app will have all the radio coverage and the online broadcast at FerrisStateBulldogs.com and live right here on Sunny 97.3 FM starting 8 o'clock with an extended pregame show on Saturday night leading up to kickoff. We'll hear from Coach Anise and some of the Bulldog players leading up to kickoff during that pregame show on Saturday night. Should be a lot of fun at the McKinney ISD Stadium and hopefully a great crowd of Bulldog fans that we know will be there and help support the team from wherever they are.
Definitely, and one more day of practice and all kinds of things going on in preparation, and then Saturday is just game face. Everybody's just going to get their game face on and be ready to go, and that includes us in a far less significant way compared to the players and the coaches. So they're going to really be locked in, but it's just a great atmosphere, and I'm just excited for the fans who are going to have an opportunity to be here, but I'm also excited for the fans who are going to be supporting us, whether it's back in Big Rapids, Grand Rapids, Detroit, Michigan, across the country. So many Bulldog alumni affinity groups all over the country are going to be tuning in.
Late night kickoff, 9:03 p.m. Eastern time from the McKinney ISD Stadium here in McKinney, Texas. As we'll have all the action for you on Saturday night. The Bulldogs seeking their first Division II football national championship against the Valdosta State Blazers. Should be a great matchup, one that I know we're already looking forward to here a little more than 48 hours away from kickoff time.
Yeah, this is the way it should come down to. Super Region 3 champion versus the Super Region 2 champion. I think we kind of thought that this is the way it was going to be, and here we are right now with, ironically enough, a rematch of if you want to look at it that way, of the 2018 national championship game. But whether it's a rematch or it's a first time, it doesn't really matter because I think both of these teams are locked in on what it's going to take to win a national championship.
That'll do it for this national championship preview show. For Sandy Golston, I'm Rob Bentley. Big thanks goes out to Steve Masters running the board back at the Sunny 97.3 studios, along with Scott Vandersloot, Barrett Jones helping with our video coverage. We'll have a replay posted online later on tonight at FerrisStateBulldogs.com. Until Saturday, this has been Ferris State Football in the National Championship Preview Show. Join us for the National Championship game from McKinney, Texas on Saturday, 8 p.m. pregame, right here on the Voice of the Bulldogs, Sunny 97.3.